I spent so much time on all the wrong things, but when you have this pace, it's like you need to stay on track. You focus on high leverage things. And all those nitty gritty details, they didn't get done, the types of things that I would have done when I was just so in the trenches, but it doesn't matter because they're not high leverage. And what I think is the best thing about it is that it cancels out perfectionism. But then what I think is so fascinating is you can use it on the week level. The whole point of the time off is to focus you on the priorities and the bigger goals. And if you use those weeks off to not just recover, but also to then think bigger, you come back with a better train of thought and a much better focus. Okay, so today I want to talk about Pomodoro. So Pomodoro is a productivity time management technique. So I want to talk about like what it is and how I use it in everyday life, and not so much for like cramming or saving my butt after I've procrastinated. Because I think it's a really valuable tool to create an everyday habit of focus. When it's something that you habitually do and it becomes part of like your character and you really implement it daily, that's when I think you really can see the power of it. So first off, what is Pomodoro? It is an Italian word for tomato, and it's because the guy who invented it used a tomato timer. It was like a kitchen timer in the shape of a tomato, and he would set timers for himself. So what it is kind of a 4-period block. So you work 25 minutes, 5 minutes off, work 25, 5 minutes off, work 25, 5 minutes off, work 25, and on the fourth time, instead of a 5-minute break, you take a half-hour break. And then you could repeat as many of these as you want. And so one Pomodoro is that it's about a 2-hour stretch. I typically will do 2 Pomodoros, so it's about 4 hours, but I've done an 8-hour stretch, so 4 Pomodoros before. And what I think is the best thing about it is that it cancels out perfectionism. This is what I didn't really see before until I actually tried it out. But what happens is you can get really in a flow and really in a zone, and you kind of lose sight of what are the high leverage tasks, what are the important tasks, because you're just so in the zone and you're having fun, and all of a sudden you start focusing on these nitty gritty details that's kind of fun for you, but you're just so in the details that you're spending your time on all the wrong things. So what happens is when the timer goes off, you're typically, or at least for me, I'm typically like in the middle of a flow and I'm like, oh, I don't want to take a break right now, but I kind of make myself take a break. And then when I come back, I have more of the bird's eye view again. I'm like, why was I even working on that? That's not really important to be working on. The high leverage tasks are these. And so I find that it refocuses you up to the bird's eye view, and then you can come back in with a better sense of focus. So as an example of this, one video I spent 16 hours editing. That is far and beyond what I've ever spent editing a video. And so I wanted to use Pomodoro to kind of speed up my time. And I got it done in 4 hours. And the video, I asked people around me, it's the exact same quality. People cannot tell the difference between the 16-hour long edited video and a 4-hour long edited video, because I spent so much time on all the wrong things. But when you have this pace, it's like you need to stay on track. You focus on high leverage things. And all those nitty gritty details, they didn't get done, the types of things that I would have done when I was just so in the trenches, but it doesn't matter because they're not high leverage. And the video that I spent only 4 hours editing is performing way better. Because those details, those extra 12 hours don't do anything. They are not actions that move the needle, and it's kind of showing in its performance. So let's go through the steps. First off, I have an alarm that reminds myself every evening at 7:15 that I want to set up for the next day. So I learned from Erin May Henry what's called the setup method. And basically it's just the night before you look at everything you want to do the next day and you do step 1 of all those things. If I want a Pomodoro the next day, step 1 of doing a Pomodoro is kind of outlining what do I want to do during block 1, what do I want to do during block 2. So every night I outline what do I want to do, and I created a worksheet for this. So at the top of the worksheet, I've got a brain dump. So the night before I would fill in, okay, what are all the things I want to do tomorrow, and I just kind of brain dump what are all the things I want to do. And I would try to get it done in 2 Pomodoros, so 4 hours. And then I also write down this week's goal and focus, because it's important to say, are the tasks that I'm doing this day aligned with my bigger vision and my bigger focus? So then I have the first Pomodoro, these first 4 green boxes, and I sort them. So I say, okay, what do I want to do this block? What do I want to do this block? And it kind of tracks my time. It helps me stay on track. And then I have a box that says, you'll know you're done when, because you're more likely to get in flow and you're more likely to enjoy yourself when you have clear metrics for success. That's one of the factors for getting into flow, is having a clear metric for success, being really specific with yourself. So I say, I know I'm done outlining a video when, because you need to know when to be done and when to call it quits. And that gives you kind of a target to be on for that whole block. So the next day when I wake up, I go to YouTube and I just type in Pomodoro timer, and there's tons of YouTube videos that are Pomodoro timers. You can do them along with people. There are ASMR ones, there are ones with any sort of vibe that you want. You can type in rainy day Pomodoro, you can type in anything, and you work alongside it. And so I just use the one that's silent, and then an alarm will go off. And so I'm working on my computer task, I'm doing my Pomodoro, bing, the alarm goes off, and then I take a break. So what I like to do is kind of follow the checkpoints. So I say, okay, this block goes for 25 more minutes, and then I do the math in my head. Okay, that means I need to be done with this and this by 1:30 or whatever time it is, and then it kind of keeps me on track, because it's kind of motivating, because you're like, wow, if I get all this done, I'll get all this done in 2 hours. Wouldn't that be so great to get it done in 2 hours? Okay, and it kind of helps me stay on track, because kind of like a domino, I'm like, okay, if this one falls, this one will fall. If this one doesn't fall, this one won't. So it gives me kind of motivation to keep going and to stay on track. So then when I do take my breaks, I try to make sure to get away from that space, because you really want to get a clear mind. So the best way to do that is to get away from the space, move your body, get a snack, get some water. I've found that this does help me take care of my body better. Sometimes I'm so immersed in a task, I'll spend 8 hours on it, and then my body just aches, and I find out I'm really dehydrated. So it's good to drink some water and eat some food. And I like line dancing, so since the breaks are 5 minutes long, it's typically enough time for me to grab a little snack, get some water, and then I'll just do one line dance, so it gets oxygen flowing to the brain, and then you come back feeling so refreshed, and with the bird's eye perspective of this is what's important, kind of gets you out of that perfectionism during that break. So one thing that I found so fascinating about it is that you can use it for bigger and bigger and bigger blocks of time, like really big. So the way that I use it is for one day, and it helps me to schedule in breaks. It helps me with time blocking, because I like time blocking, and it helps you schedule in breaks, because a lot of people don't schedule in breaks when they time block, and so that's why they don't like time blocking. They don't schedule in fun or breaks or things like that. So I use it on the day-to-day level, but then what I think is so fascinating is you can use it on the week level. So you work for a day, take the evening off, work a day, take the evening off, work a day, take the evening off, work a day, and then you take a longer break, and you could have like a 3-day weekend. So like if you had a 4-day week, I think it would work for that. Then you could take it even bigger, and you could do a macro year. So you work 3 months, take a week off, work 3 months, take a week off, work 3 months, take a week off, work 3 months, and at the end of that one, take 2 weeks off or a bigger break off. And I just think it really works. I don't know, with like the human body or something. I don't know. There's something about it that really seems to work, about these shorter breaks and then a longer break. And I've heard that a lot of really successful people, I've heard of Bill Gates and a lot of other really successful people, they always schedule in a week off every quarter. And during that time off, the whole point of the time off is to focus you on the priorities and the bigger goals. And if you use those weeks off to not just recover, but also to then think bigger, you come back with a better train of thought and a much better focus. And I think that's the real value in the breaks, is that it focuses you onto the high leverage task that's really important, so that when you're just like down in the trenches, you're not focusing on things that don't move the needle. So yeah, I'm such an advocate for this now. So now I'm trying to like schedule it. So I'm trying to work 4-day weeks. I'm trying to take a week off every quarter and 2 weeks off at the end of quarter 4. And I'm really trying to incorporate it and use Pomodoro every day, because I would like to challenge myself to try to get all my work done in 4 hours. I mean, I could easily spend 8 hours doing it, but if I can get it done in 4 hours and I'm really focused, that's something that I'm really excited about and really excites me. So that's what I'm going to be doing. I'm just going to be, filling out this worksheet every night and then trying to get it done the next day, because it works really well. Work 2 hours, have lunch, work 2 more hours. I've done 8 hours before, and I think it works just as well. I think supposedly the more you do, the longer the breaks need to be. So for the first break, it's like half an hour, but maybe the next long break needs to be an hour, and you kind of keep expanding the breaks. Let me know if you've tried Pomodoro. I really didn't like it at first, but now I'm seriously an advocate for it. So yeah, I will link this worksheet below. Thanks so much for watching.